friends, Jacob is here once again. Monoliths, right? They're popping up everywhere. Now this is strange because this program today, you'll know where all these monoliths actually finally came from. And ironically enough, they are tied in. The story is like directly, incredibly, inexplicably tied in to the programs that I have been sharing all along. So the breadcrumbs, right? You follow the breadcrumbs and then they keep, that story just keeps getting better. The puzzle pieces, they just keep getting filled in. The last couple of programs talking about Jacob's trouble. Can you believe that the monoliths are attached to the wrestling and time of Jacob's trouble? That's right, people. It's all working together for the good, right? This is going to be a very eye-opening program once again, and it's a program that would have never happened had it not been for like one little thing happen and another little thing happen and another, and one of those little things was like my toilet that was replaced. I'm a little OCD. I like everything, stay away from me. I don't want to catch a cold, right? Okay? I got to have people in my house, right? In my bathroom. And so if that wasn't going on right now in my house as I speak, I wouldn't be able to do this. If somebody didn't email me, that's right, Sean Bernard, I'm talking to you, you talented artist, you. If he didn't email asking me, when's your next show? I'm looking forward to the ones on the Monolith. And I'm like, I'm not doing a show on the Monoliths. Then I get another email from somebody else, Lucinda. Sup, Lucy? Sends another winner over, and boom, 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 right? So if my toilet wasn't all leaky and messed up, the floor beneath it a little rotted. It's all being fixed right now, thank God, so I got a chance to tell you something that is gonna blow your mind. So buckle up. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for coming back to the show. Spend a little time. I'm gonna try to tone it down. It's just that, I gotta get to work. Right when the guys leave, I gotta go to work, so I gotta bang out of here, right? It's been a challenging couple of weeks. There's been a lot of stuff going on, right? I got a big issue with my shoulder, even though I'm moving it around. It's a big issue. Things, every once in a while, health issues come up, right? Get issues at work, some work changes, some challenges, people challenges, lots of challenges come your way, right? Then you got plumbers, one again and again. You get little challenges. These things, they come up in the grand scheme of things. Not a big deal, but when you're trying to fix everything on your own, you're trying to make it work, you're trying to just kind of make everything go perfectly, and you forget to lean on God a little more, it gets hard. It runs you down. And I've been a little run down, got a couple of things that kind of bum me out, right? One of the things is no longer on my breaks can I come and do the virtual set. I don't know. There's just been an update to the phone, I guess, to my app, and they don't do that anymore. But do I think that that's a bad thing? I don't know. A lot of you don't like it, so maybe no more VR set until I get it squared away. But a couple of things that I'm going, okay, Lord, not inspired, got no show to talk about. So I'm like, okay, Lord, I've been doing a lot of praying lately. Because, you do these shows where you tell everybody, oh yeah, we're going to be entering a really difficult time. It's the time of Jacob's trouble. And you do these shows where you talk about the twins, and you talk about the wrestling match that's going on, right? But this wrestling match that ends up turning into a blessing that Jacob is known for. He has to be broken completely before he finally just leans on God. He won't even let go. He's like, not till you bless me. And I feel like that story, ironically enough, that story is going to tie right in with my story. Like weird. Like it could be right out of the pages of the Bible. And that's the best part, right? Because that story is your story too. We're all those characters in Scripture. We're all Israel. We're all God's chosen. We all get into that wrestling match with God. So, let me first, before I get into all that, let me tell you about these monoliths. they've been popping up everywhere, right? In Utah, then another one in Romania. And you know me, I covered them. I was one of the people that kind of jumped on it right away because of the connection to 2001, the Space Odyssey. And I explained to all of you, if you've seen the show, that there were more than one and they'd pop up everywhere, and that they had to do with, they'd always show up right at a time of, great evolution. So you had the cavemen that looked like monkeys that were around the monolith the first time they touch it, and then they start attacking each other. They learn how to kill each other better. They pick up the bones. So that's like you see the first kind of evolution. Then you see it again, and again and again and again, and in the end, I think on one of the moons, I think it was Europa. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie in a while. I keep saying I'm going to say it again, but I haven't. He turns into a star child. We find out that the aliens were the ones that placed these monoliths, and they were from a generation called the Firstborn. Some people would call them like the Watchers. Some would maybe say like the Anunnaki. This is interesting, right? Because everything comes together and everything kind of ties in beautifully. So these monoliths start appearing here, and I've been talking about the strange coincidence with everything, and I tied everything into Jacob's time of trouble. Now, in Jacob's story, he I'm not going to get into the whole nuts and bolts of it. He was a twin. He was known as one of the twins. I'm a Gemini, by the way, June 11th, kind of the twin of twins. Got 11/11, right? Twins, duality. Did a whole show. If you haven't seen it, check out that show from last week. And then before it, I talked about all the things coming together at December 14th, which is smack dab in between these two eclipses, 1,211 days on either side. And I tied it all into Jacob's time of trouble. Now, interesting enough, these monoliths, there's a huge connection to Jacob here. There's a huge connection. And there's a connection, ironically, to my life. Like literally.
I think that was the second. I think that was the second wrestling event I served in an announcer.
So Lucy sends me this email, which just titles "Apes of Wrath," and for whatever reason, my head had been on the monoliths because Sean said, "What are you writing about the monoliths? What are you gonna do a show about that?" I'm like, I'm not inspired to do it. And like then 10 minutes later, right, all of a sudden here I am with this amazing show that all came together. It's like, I got my toilet being worked on. God's beautiful. I love the story. I love the allegory. So it turns out that 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago today, ironically enough, the monoliths started appearing everywhere in Seattle. Okay, it was called the Seattle Monolith. And they had appeared in one place, and it was like a big deal. It was like, set in stone, set in cement. They poured cement. It was like they called it a prank, an artistic prank. And what's weird about all this is how it was funded, okay? Like, who was behind the event, and how did they go about to market the event, and where did they get the money for the event? Turns out, right, coming from a guy that worked in wrestling, Jacob Israel, known for wrestling. I was one of the top 2 guys writing and producing everything between 99 and 2001. Almost some 20 years ago, wrestling. Jacob, right there. Literally, in the real world today, and also back in the day where, he wrestled as well. So back about 20 years ago, there was this wrestling event, and it was called Apes of Wrath.
Of ourselves in public. Some people are welcoming you to the Apes of Wrath Wrestling Party, a fundraiser for the Some People's Monolith Project. The funds received from this event will be used to build an evolutionary generator, which will be turned on at the beginning of the new millennium.
So Ken was reading that. He didn't know what he was saying. He was just reading off a card there. Now, I was the other announcer. We have some audio of me as well.
Okay, we got
a standoff now. We've got Owen calling for. Okay, he's taking him.
Their little morning broadcast where they're doing a little history lesson about what happened 20 years ago. What's interesting about that is yesterday, as I was having a hard time, and I spent almost the entire day seeking and just learning. And what was I studying? Jacob's time of trouble. What was I studying? I was studying 20 years later where Jacob wrestles and everything that he's going through in his head because he's so scared about what he thinks is coming. Does that sound familiar to you? Because I'm going to let you know something. I'm always smiles, but I got to tell you, I'm concerned for a lot of people. I'm concerned for people that don't have faith. I'm concerned for what I'm about to see in the world. And I'm like, Lord, I don't know what to do. So what do? Right? Just like Jacob from Scripture, what he did was he was going to meet he was worried about Esau, his older brother. He had kind of like taken everything from him, kind of, swindled him out of things. But really, it's a more spiritual story of the carnal man and the spirit man of Christ that's in you. So he ran away from his brother, right? He did really good for himself. And then now he's like, 20 years later after he departed and ran away, and he's got a lot to lose now. He's got like 2 families. Ironically enough, I do too, right? Because my first wife took off. That was back then when I lost everything. I had nothing. I had like nothing, right? And I knew that I just had the children. That was it. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know how I was going to make it. I was, so crazy. It's like 20 years ago, right? But God gave me a promise back then. I knew God had a purpose for me back then. Right? This was after I left wrestling in 2001. And I had nothing, but now here I am 20 years later, almost 20 years later, and I got two jobs. I got 2 camps, right? Just in case, I get censored over here. I got the other job in the real world that I've established and I work very hard at. So I got, the two, just in case, just like Jacob did the same thing because he was worried that devastation was coming for him and his house. And so what he did was he divided up, his family. And he sent he's like, look, I'll give you all this stuff. I'm trying to appease you. It'll be good. And then he sends the next up because he figured, what the heck, maybe if my brother who I, kind of scammed out of stuff, maybe he won't want to kill me. Meanwhile, Jacob didn't really know if Esau was going to kill him or not. Ironically enough, when we get to the story, you see that Esau and him, it's all cool. He's like, I don't need your stuff. I'm huge. I'm like, I run the world, right? See, that's ironic because here I'm worried and I've been stressed and I'm going, what am I going to do? What do I got to do? I got to put the right message out. I got to make sure that I'm doing perfect at work. I got to make sure because, there's a lot of stuff in the world right now. And so yesterday I'm like, oh, Lord, okay, you made a promise to me when I had nothing, just like Jacob did in the Bible. You made a promise to me, right? It promised me, and I knew one day it was all right, but I got to tell you, I'm trying to handle all this stuff on my own, and it's not working out. And I end up hearing all about this story, and that's what I was doing. And then boom, here I am here, some 20 years later, and 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, there's a wrestling event that funded these monoliths to pop up. I've been talking about Jacob's time of trouble, the two fighting each other. But the elder, the carnal man, the first idea of you in the world, is going to serve the younger. So the carnal side of you ultimately is going to serve the Christ in you, because that's the story of salvation. So listen to this. This is where it gets a little strange, right? So let me read you some of this stuff. So this happened back, it was called the Seattle Monolith, and it basically showed up New Year's Day, and then it was removed, and then it moved somewhere else. So here we are, almost 20 years later, same thing's happening again. Why? Well, because here we are 20 years later, just like Jacob, right? And he's facing a dark day, and he's all alone. And he doesn't know what's coming. And that's where his time of trouble really starts. He ends up wrestling this man. In the scripture, some of them say it's an angel. Some say it's the Anunnaki that he literally wrestled. But he wrestles all day long. It's a big fight. And in the end, he doesn't give up. And the day was coming, the light was coming, and he didn't want to give up. He didn't want to give up his fight. He was like, no, I can handle it. And it was like, you know what, enough already. The man says, all right, enough. And the fight ends. And then all he had to do was he just touches his hip, and then boom, Jacob never walks the same again. That's a spiritual thing, right? So this is a terrible, terrible, hard fight that we're in right now. But God's gonna heal us. And how is he gonna heal us? He's gonna heal us by breaking us. by having all of us realize that no matter how hard we try, the world's gonna break. You're gonna lose your job. You're gonna lose your house. You're gonna be, all these things are gonna happen. But God is gonna change you through it all. Now, ironically, that we're also talking about this great reset. And everybody's worried about this thing that's coming, right? This thing that can genetically change, they say, your DNA.
I think there's going to be a lot of breakthroughs on the medical front, particularly around synthetic mRNA. You can basically do anything with synthetic RNA, DNA. It's like a computer program. So, I think with effort that's not too crazy, you could probably stop aging, reverse it if you want. You can basically do it. You can turn someone into a freaking butterfly if you want with the right DNA sequence. So, caterpillars do it.
I posted something on Twitter about these things that are like little computer codes that go into the body, and then they just change your genetic makeup so that you build certain proteins so that, I got to talk in code, but you get what I'm saying. So here we're talking about change again, where they're trying to change, trying to reset. That's what these monoliths do. So here they are, 20 years later? Ironic.
A large single upright block of stone, especially one shaped into or serving as a pillar or monument. Do you want to hear the remaining one?
Time when they were raising the money, they didn't know, but this is very telling as the announcer. Let me read to you what the announcer says. He says, those of you wondering what the Monolith Foundation is, it's the time-honored tradition of wearing ridiculous costumes and dressing up in masks. It is a fundraiser for the Some People Monolith Foundation. Some People Monolith Foundation. The funds will be used to build, get this, an evolutionary generator to be turned on at the beginning of the millennium. A lot of people, I don't really know because we don't know about the calendars, right? The Gregorian or this or the Hebrew or the this, blah, 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 blah. No one really even knows when the millennium starts, but I do know that 20 years ago, I had nothing, right? I didn't have much. After all I accomplished, everything was, and I didn't know how things were going to go, but I had faith and I prayed. And here I am 20 years later, and I can look back and my life is just so, I was so sick back then. I was so overweight back then. I was on all sorts of medication back then. I was struggling back then. I was suffering back then because back then I wasn't mature. I was younger, right? I was wrestling. That's why I was literally wrestling. So here, the Monolith 2001, all that stuff is tied in, and I'm at wrestling at that same point in time. And here we are 20 years later, and the Monolith Foundation. The Monolith Foundation for some people. About the human evolution, the evolutionary generator. It's popping up everywhere. That everybody's talking about it because they want you to take notice. So while it's literally playing out in the world, and maybe they're really trying to change us, maybe all this stuff is about changing us. Who knows? Wake up! 2020, the finale begins. This year has definitely been the year that I had thought it would be, right? So you'd think little old Jacob been saying all this stuff, been telling everybody to buckle up for so long. You'd think Jacob would be all like, "Oh, it's all good. No big deal. I'm just gonna skateboard down 2020. No big deal at all." You don't think that I get stressed? You don't think that I pray? You don't think that I cry out to God? Oh, all the time. But then stuff like this happens. Stuff like this happens. If you can receive it, spiritually speaking, a wrestling that we've all been involved with, right? All the things that we're fighting. The messed up toilet, the issues at work, the problem with your family, the problem with your spouse, all these things you think you're fighting, guess who you're really fighting? God. Even evil people, right? I'm sure Jacob at the time when he was fighting this literal angel, which by the way, little matter of record, not only was I a man who, wrote and produced, Jacob literally, Dr. James Cobb, when I worked for TCW, literally choked out a wrestler named Angel. Well, not choked him out completely, but got my arm around him, gave him a little I got involved in a match, and it didn't hit me until I was on the plane going home that I had literally wrestled an angel. I think that's pretty cool. But I think what's more cool is the fact that Uranus is going to be a lot closer to the Earth very soon. People want me to talk about this great conjunction I got right now. I know that it's a big deal. I'm sure if I'm meant to talk about it, I will. This is right now what I'm meant to say. So, more evidence that this is all linked together to this epic struggle between carnal man and Christ, between evil and good. And in the end, it's going to be okay. Just read you this last part, okay? This is in chapter 32 of Genesis, this last little part here, okay? And Jacob was left alone, and there he wrestled a man until the breaking of day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, much like me, realizing I can't fix everything. I quit. I tapped out. I think on the last video I said I just can't. I can't anymore, because that's literally the way I've been feeling. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the howl of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, and he wrestled with him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let you go. I'm not going to give up wrestling. I'm not going to because I'm waiting for you to bless me. Does anybody get that? It's like, I know that things are supposed to get better. I'm not going to stop wrestling until things get better. That's revelation, for those people that are, looking for it. And he said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. And the angel said to him, what is your name? And this is ironic because this feels good to me. And he goes, well, my name's Jacob. Right? I'm kind of this weak dude. I can't really do much. I do the best I can. I'm pretty good. I'm a good talker, right? And I know some spiritual things, and I know God is real, and I have faith in God, right? But I tell you, look, you come to Jacob's well, you're going to get thirsty again. You got to go to God yourself. You got to go to Christ yourself. I say, my name's Jacob, right? All the bells and whistles that go along with Jacob. And the angel says, no, not anymore. It's going to be Israel. Your name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel, for as a prince, right? I don't feel like a prince at times. Do you? Do you feel like a prince or a princess? Not all the time, right? For as a prince, you have power with God and with men, and you've prevailed. And Jacob asked me, what is your name? Tell me your name. The angel's like, what do you want my name for? Right? You can't handle that. And then Jacob said, I called the place Peniel because that was where he met God face to face. He met God face to face in the very thing that he was fighting all darn day long. The Apes of Wrath funded the revolutionary, evolutionary, some people Monolith Foundation project, which is supposed to, guess what, bring us to the next phase? That's okay. I'm ready for the next phase because the day of the Lord is at hand. And so, if things get hard, remember not to wrestle so much because you might get your you might get your leg all broken up. Maybe you just kind of lean into God and say, you know what, I just don't want to let go. Just tell me what I need to know. Things are going to be okay, people. Things are going to be okay. And all this stuff, like I said, it's just beautiful. And if you're not seeking God and this doesn't encourage you and you don't think that this is all strange, that all this appears, right? From how long ago I was like, I got no show. I got nothing to talk about. I haven't been inspired. I've been dull spiritually. And I hope it encourages you all because, people have a tendency of being very fake. They want everybody to think that everything's perfect all the time. My life is pretty close to perfect. I got to be honest. Like in the grand scheme of things, I'm just so happy. I love my wife. She's like my best friend. I love my family so much. Everything is, but there's so much, there's so much heartache and heartbreak that can go along with it. All right, listen, I got to get to work. So I love each and every one of you. Hope you have the best day ever. Please do subscribe, share the channel around, tell your friends. Oh, and if you want, you can get the Uranus is a Planet mug. It's there's a description in the link below. And Noah, my oldest, he did something because see, I'm not like the guys. I'm like trying to make money. I'm not trying to like start an empire here. So I'm not a big merch guy, right? And we could buckle up shirt and this for how long? And everybody wanted to teach me the truth no matter what the cost. So Noah went and he designed a bunch of sweaters. They look like this. You get hoodies now. And the other colors. It's like everything. I don't know. He put it all up there. I'm really proud of him because he was helping his old man. And if you want to get one of them for the holidays, go for it. Thank you very much. And wear it in good health. And I love each and every one of you. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching Jacob Israel. Please hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and share this channel around. If these shows have helped you, help Jacob to reach more any way you can, and have the best day ever.